How's it going, everyone? And welcome back to a special episode of the Into the Teeth Golf Podcast. I am your host, Scott Rose, and today I am joined by mental performance coach Josh Maddison. Evening, Josh.
Evening, sir. Thanks for
How are
having
you?
me.
No, how are you getting
No,
on?
I'm
All
very
good?
well. All good. It's been a busy day of calls, but I've tried to save some of my energy for getting stuck into this.
I appreciate that, mate. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I think the whole mental side of golf performance psychology is something that really is probably not new to me, but I don't really know much about it. So I thought, why not get an expert on to tell us all about it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, if it can help your viewers and help yourself, then my job's done. So you just fire away, and I'll see what I can do,
Well, I think
and see
first
if
of
you can
all,
come away feeling a little bit different as well.
oh mate, that would be a winner for me. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
we can go in a little
Well,
bit. I'm quite a negative golfer, but I'm quite hard on myself. So
yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with us maybe doing some of the coaching if that's what you want to do. If you want to like help people see how it's different and what I do, I'm more than happy to. I mean, it's up to you, right? Because it's vulnerable stuff. So,
oh, that's all right, mate. I'm okay crying in front of people. It's all good.
oh, then maybe you'll be all right. I mean, if we have the time, then I'll go for that.
Why not? So let's go back to the start. Why don't you tell our listeners, what it is you do and how you got around to doing it?
Yeah. So, um, how can I describe it? So I help professional golfers and competitive golfers, anyone that wants to invest in that side of things, but professional golfers obviously have a lot more on the line. Um, Overcome limiting beliefs, challenging emotions, and performance blockers to kind of get out their way and play freely under pressure. So um, we deal with the way that they are thinking, feeling, and performing, as opposed to it's not quite therapy and it's not quite sports psychology. It's a blend of tools and frameworks to help you think differently. Because I'm a big believer that your thinking changes your reality. And if you can
Hmm.
change the way that you're thinking, especially the way that you see yourself and the way that you see the world, you can change your reality. You can change what you see and how you're performing. So um, that's kind of in a nutshell what I do. There's obviously a lot more to it than that. And my background's, I suppose, a little bit different. I'm not sure if you've ever seen some of my stories or my content, but
I have, yeah.
um, I
You're
actually
oh,
was
you're a PT, is that
I
right?
was a PT, but before that, I was also a ski instructor.
Oh, nice one.
Um, So I left college not really having how's language on here, by the way?
You
Just
can say whatever you want, mate. It's all good.
perfect. Not really having a fucking clue what I was going to do. And uh, very, very fortunate, very, very grateful. My parents were like, Josh, very fortunate to go skiing every year from the age of 4 on holidays. And they were
Hmm.
like, you're gonna go out and be a ski instructor. You're gonna go and explore that route. And I was like, I didn't actually want to do it at first, which is the crazy thing. And they basically said you're going to go and do it, and I went, and I was like, I'll see how it goes. Fell in love with it. Never came back for 9 years. Managed to make my way up to the highest level that you can get in British snow sports instruction. Work in France for 5 years, and then COVID just completely shut it down. It was kind of like a escort off the mountain, and go and isolate. And if you need to leave your house, you need a piece of paper. You need to make sure the
Yeah.
police have cleared it and whatnot. And I was like, oh my God. And in the back of my mind, I always knew that I was never going to do it forever. There was always a doubt in my mind that it would be the thing that I did forever.
Hmm.
But I loved it while I did it and I gave it absolutely everything. And that's why I got to where I got. And then I was like, what do I do next? What do I do now? And then at the time, I was a little bit of a skinny fat dweeb and just had enough of uh, smoking weed, drinking alcohol, and I was just not in a good place. So
Yeah.
I got my own coach, my own fitness coach myself. Went for a transformation, changed my life, changed everything about what I did. Um, and then they asked, "Do you want to come and coach?" And become a coach at our gym. And I was like, Why would anyone want to work with me? Like, I'm just a just anyway. And then I went through my qualifications, worked at the gym, 5 years at the gym, built up a personal training base, left the gym, moved to another gym, was going through a bit of a crisis, and then was like, I don't really feel like this is for me. But just rewind because I've skipped a little bit. I had a lot of trouble building my own business from doubts, insecurities, fears,
Hmm.
self-worth. So I went through my own mental performance journey within myself and within business. And that completely changed the life. I went to a business event in Dubai. I knew the guy and I just approached him in the gym and I said, "Okay, Kieran, I watch your stuff. Can you help me?" And he was like, "Dude, what's going on? Talk to me." So I was speaking to him and we spent like hours and hours talking. Um, Eventually went through my own 2 year like journey with them, and it completely changed who I was, how I built
Wow.
the business, how I approached everything, and who I am now. And I was like, everything about what I've done within fitness, within skiing, was never about the physical outcome. It was never about them skiing. It was never about them changing their bodies. It was about who they were becoming.
Hmm.
And once I went through that journey, I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to do that and I want to learn how. And then what are we talking now? Start of last year, I was handed the opportunity to go and uh, take on the certification and become a mental performance coach myself. And
Wow.
given who I was, I just took it with two hands and was like, I'm going all in. And I had to, it was very difficult for me. I had to, with fitness clients and then wanting to go into the mental performance world, it's very difficult for me to make that switch and feel
Hmm.
guilty about leaving the people that I had and taking a big risk and leaving it somewhere where I was stable and comfortable to go somewhere where I was uncomfortable. And it all kind of started from there, really. And now we're here, and it's a thing, and it's crazy, and I fucking love it.
And yeah, well, that was going to be one of my questions. I'm assuming you strike me. I mean, this is the first time we've ever spoken in person, but you strike me as someone that wouldn't do something unless they were passionate and they loved it.
Correct.
Yeah, which I
Yeah,
think, and it's a bit cliche, but if you can do something like that for a living, it's pretty special feeling, isn't it?
yeah, and I think it really helps to, I was speaking to someone that actually came on board earlier, and it is about the human. It's not about like I care very much about them winning and how they play golf and where they go into their careers and being on PGA and DP World Tour. But I care more about the person
Hmm.
and I care more about how that person's feeling and how they show up and how they can perform better because I know how I've felt. I know how I've worried about external validation and caring what other people think. I know I've dealt with fears and insecurities and pressure and points to prove. I know I've dealt with self-doubt and I've overcome all of these things, and I know how much it can hold you back from a potential standpoint. And I just want to give that to these people because I also love golf and I love working with people. And I was like, well, I can do whatever I want, you know.
Yeah.
I could it's a market. Okay, I'm a little bit different in the way that I do work and operate, but
Hmm.
it can work. So why would I not go all in on this thing? And it started with athletes, actually. Like the first case study that I put out for people to come and work with me and prove that I could do the thing and start working people was athletes. I
Okay.
had powerlifters, I had rugby players, I had golfers, but the majority of them were golfers. And I was like, this is my lane. Here we go. Let's do it. And the more and more golfers that I've worked with, the more I've learned about what's really going on.
Hmm.
Some of them like to ignore it and that they're very ignorant to some of the mental performance things they have because they think that it's deep. They think that it's therapy. It's not.
Hmm.
It's really not. It's being very clear on where you're going, who you need to become, what parts of you need to let go of, and how you're going to get there. And that's it.
Simple as that. Well,
Well, I
not
wish
not
it was.
simple, but yeah,
I
exactly.
wish it was, yeah.
And you can
But it's
you've
it's
touched yeah, sorry, I was saying you've touched a little bit how you do things a bit differently compared to maybe other people in that field. What would you say that you do differently to others?
That's a great question. So a lot of the feedback that I get off of the professional golfers that I work with is that they've tried this stuff before. The majority of golfers that I work with have worked with a sports psychologist
Hmm.
before. And I don't have an issue with sports psychologists and what they do. But if there's something, a deep-rooted belief operating in the background, operating at a deeper level, it's very hard to think your way out of these problems. It's very hard to use the surface level stuff because that's what they all say. They say it's all very one-dimensional. It's all very surface level, self-talk visualization, which I don't I'm not slamming that stuff. I
Hmm.
believe it can work, but only when you fix the stuff below. Um, so I deal with two sides. I deal with the emotional side,
Hmm.
making sure that we clear all the emotional stuff that's running in the background, your limiting beliefs that you have about yourself and the way that you see yourself in the world. I deal with the way in who you are becoming. But then I deal with the performance side of things. So once we've cleared this stuff, it's about how good can this thing get. So people that come to me come in three different, I believe, the three different stages that I see, which is like the handbrake is fully up, right? We've got these performance handbrakes that are fully up. It's like they are slamming that pedal down as hard as they can. Practice, 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 gym, 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 everything that they can do on the surface, but yet there's this handbrake holding them back, and that's the reason why they can't perform the way they know they can under pressure.
Hmm.
Then you got people who are kind of halfway down and halfway up, whichever glass half empty, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And that's where things are okay. They're playing well, but it's not consistent. But there's just something going on in the background, and they just don't quite fully believe or back in themselves. And then there's people who the handbrake's off. Like things are good, but how good can this thing get from structure, more belief, right?
Hmm.
And just taking this thing to the moon because it's a lonely game and
Certainly
it's
is.
very easy to get in your own head as time goes on. Like, yeah, you've got a caddy, and I believe that there should be good conversations to happen from your caddy, but their job is probably not one of a professional's. And I've seen it from the YouTube videos, which I love. The what's it? Is Sundays, Chasing Sundays? Is it Chasing Sunday
Yeah,
on
yeah, yeah. The
YouTube?
PGA Tour stuff. Yeah, when they mic them
Yeah,
up. Yeah.
yeah. And I watched one with Batia, and his caddy was like, "Just be kind to yourself," which is the classic things to help in the moment. But there's obviously something going on underneath, which is where I come in. So hopefully that answers your question
Absolutely. Yeah.
as to why it's a little bit different. I think for me, it's very heavily performance based, but also very heavily emotional based, and we
Hmm.
go deep to then come back out and change who you are so that you can become the person that you need to be and let go of the bits of you that you aren't serving you right now to perform how you know you can under pressure.
Yeah, and I think just listening to you there, I think it's more, like you say, it's a bit more deep rooted. It's more about the person that you are, emotional stability, and the way that you deal with things, rather than I'm just going to read "Golf's Not a Game of Perfect" by Bob Rotella and everything's going to be great.
Mm,
Which Bob Rotella is obviously
great book.
the goat of golf psychologists to an
Yeah,
extent, but
Thinking Like a Champion. Great
yeah,
books.
yeah, yeah. No, that's really interesting. And what would you say? I know obviously every individual that you work with is different, but what would you say is kind of like the typical issues or that you would see within people that are like low hanging fruit that you're like, well, if we change that, then we're off to a flyer.
Low hanging fruit. It is straight away just removing these beliefs that they have about themselves. Um, because as soon as you remove them, it's so freeing. It's so freeing to know that, like, so many people who go for a certain tool that I use, and when they get to the end of it, they go, "Wow, I did not think that that significant emotional event from my past was causing all of this doubt and insecurity and fear that I'm operating with right now."
Hmm.
So, like, obviously it's very confidential, so I
Yeah, yeah,
won't
of
go
course,
into
yeah, yeah,
to,
yeah.
to things, but like some examples for today on two calls that I had that people have joined, and the first one was from when he was a kid, from from when he was a kid and dyslexic and told at school that he's basically he was made to feel dumb, and
Hmm.
as a kid. We think in black and white. As a child, we think in black and white. So if someone tells us that we're thick, therefore I am thick.
Hmm.
It's that quick. Or if somebody's constantly feeding you information about the world, money doesn't grow on trees, then we're going to have a problem with relationship with money when we get older.
Yeah.
So Everything from a very young age, building up to even up to like 30, when your personality is fully formed, we're constantly evolving. Things that people say, things that we experience, significant emotional events like trauma, big trauma, little trauma, right? And they can hold so much power over us that we don't realize. So the biggest hanging fruit is to remove the limiting belief that's holding you back. My job is to identify it,
Hmm.
erase it, put a new one in there, and then amplify that, and then perform from that. And it's like brain surgery, you know. It's I'll open it up, I'll take the scalpel across the scalp, I'll open it up, I'll find this virus that's in here that's causing them to think and feel and perform in certain ways, pull it out, put a new one back in, close it up, stitch them up, off you go. So that's like the probably the most powerful tool that's used in reprogramming these significant emotional events that they've had from their past that they don't even realize is causing them to doubt themselves, get
Hmm.
angry, you know, react, try to push things on and try and force things on the golf course to prove themselves. The relationship they have with money and trying to win money because it's a risky game.
Of course it is. Yeah. Yeah.
So once you clear some of those beliefs and the way that you see the world, it might not even be about you as a person. It might be about what someone else did.
Yeah.
So once you clear them, that's like always, 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 always. For someone, the handbrake is fully up. They're just doing everything they can, but they're just not performing the way that they know they want to. It's normally because of a deep rooted belief they have about themselves or the world. Get rid of that, and then they say it themselves. The sky's the limit.
Good. Yeah, that's. I can imagine there'll be a high percentage of people that are needing that brain surgery, mate. Probably myself included, to be fair.
Yeah, it's whether you want to go into that or not.
Well, yeah.
But
The
but that's a really good point. Sorry, just to
No, no, go
interrupt.
for
That's
it.
a
Yeah, yeah.
really, really good point. A lot of people think that they're broken.
Hmm.
You're not broken. Like there is absolutely nothing wrong with you as a person. It's something that you've not had control of, and therefore you don't need therapy. This is not therapy. This is just changing the way you think and process events in the past. We're not just going around in the same loop and that, how did that make you feel? And how did that make you feel? Because I've had clients that have come to me that have had therapy and like, yeah, we just spoke about what happened and how I felt, and that was it. This is
Yeah.
actually about giving you the tools to reprogram those things to think differently and perform differently. So it's just, if there's anything I could say to the people that are watching, is that the worst thing you could do is suppress it and put it under the carpet. The most typical thing I hear is, "Oh, I'm just not an emotional person." No, because you're fucking suppressing it,
Yeah.
and that's worse
We're humans. We all have
because you're
emotions.
ignoring it. 100%.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even need to be that deep. Like some of the stuff I've had, one of my clients, it was literally just that um, he got replaced as the goalkeeper on his football team, which made him feel inadequate that he wasn't good enough, and
Wow.
because he made a mistake in a big game, and he then, whenever now he's pursuing obviously a career in golf, that every time he made a mistake on the golf course, it took him back to that event, which made him respond and feel the same emotions and feelings and responses that he had back then. Which meant that every time he made a mistake, he meant that his limiting belief was that that is now failure. I failed. So his response was anger, head down, walk off. I fucked it.
Yeah.
Rounds finished. All because of one event in his past that just needed his inner child just needed to know that mistakes don't define him as a person. Failure is part of golf, and
Well,
golf is
yeah.
played by humans. So
Yeah.
you're okay. And now he's great. Now he's absolutely smashing it.
Superb. And so that would, I'm assuming that stages as if someone that's handbrake's fully up or handbrake's halfway up, and then you've worked them into getting the handbrake all the way down. And how does the process look from there?
So the process looks like from there is okay. Well, look, we've done most of the emotional clearing. Now, how good can things get in terms of you becoming who you need to get to where you want to be? So, if that thing's been holding you back, that's all you've ever known up until this point. You don't know then how to use that change and perform from a different identity moving forward. So, we do a lot of Manifestos, you ever heard of them? So it's
No,
I call
I've
it
heard
an
of
identity
manifesting, but
compass.
yeah.
Yeah, so a
Oh, a
manifesto
manifesto.
is
All right, yeah, yeah. I know what a
yeah,
manifesto is. Yes.
so it's also almost like a job description, but your job description is to be that person. So we look at there's a model in this industry called the logical levels of change by Robert Dilts. Most performance coaches, all performance coaches that I feel and that I've seen make a big mistake, and that is that they look at the what's and the hows before they look at the who.
Hmm.
And this funnel moves in like this sort of triangle of who do you need to become, what's important to you, what beliefs do you have, what's your values, what do you value to make sure that energy is aligned throughout your performances and who you're with and where you spend most of your time. So who you need to become, like actually describing the identity of the person you want to become,
Yeah.
your values and your beliefs about yourself and about the world, your skills and your capabilities, your behaviors, and then your environment. And you work in that order to make sure that somebody actually genuinely makes a lasting change of who they are and how they perform. Because most people just look at, oh, I'll go and change my putter. Oh, I'll go and change my swing coach. Oh, I'll go and practice at a different golf club. Oh, I'll go and swing it differently. Oh, I'll go to the gym. You're forgetting this stuff at the top, which is so important for the three pillars of what I call high performance, which is focus, energy, and flow.
Yeah.
So that's what the process is. We're building towards more focus, more energy, and more flow. And focus is, well, where are we heading?
Hmm.
We sort of start with the end in mind, making sure that you can make decisions, you can commit to everything that you're doing because you trust and back yourself. Energy is the three pillars of energy is physical, mental, and emotional. We make sure that they're all aligned and they're in a good place when you perform because your energy affects your emotions affect your thoughts, and your thoughts impact your behaviors and your performances. So if your energy's off, everything else underneath that's off as well.
Yeah.
And then flow. Are you actually fucking enjoying the game that you used to love
Yeah.
when you were a kid? Yes or no? Because most professional golfers are performing from such scarcity and fear and anxiousness and stress around money and earning money that that's the one thing and the thing that's actually holding them back in earning more money. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
from that point, in terms of the performance side of things, we're building an identity of who they need to become to lead themselves. Then how can we engineer more energy, focus, and flow, and just keep building and building and building and building because every new level has a new devil. And if you keep climbing that ladder, you're going to keep facing different challenges in different environments. And the ultimate goal, playing freely under pressure, is that nothing outside of you can impact the inside of you.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how the process looks. And once you've cleared that emotional level, and what it looks like from a performance standpoint. So we have lots of different tools and frameworks that we use. During calls, in between calls, before their rounds, after their rounds, every other week to manage and monitor their progress, so that what gets managed, what gets measured gets managed, and what gets managed you can actually change, so you can see yourself making that progress. Does that
Yeah.
answer your question?
Absolutely, mate. No, that's perfect. And one question that I would have is so you talk about, well, not talk about, but if you were to relate, let's say, a professional and let's say their outcome is to make money, which it is really,
Hmm.
professional golfer from there. Are you then easily able to relate it to an amateur golfer who is oh, I want to make the county team, or I want to win club championship? It's not strictly for professionals. I'm assuming you work with golfers and people of all levels, because
Yeah, I mean,
everyone's
it's
everyone's. I can't remember who said this to me years ago, but someone said to me, everyone's Everest is different. So everyone's Mount Everest is completely different. What
correct.
the Daniel Young, who was on the podcast this week, his Everest is probably winning on the DP World Tour, whereas mine's might be uh, winning a cap for Scotland or something like that, right?
Yeah, it can work for anyone, and it can work in business, it can work in entrepreneurship, it can work in you in this building this podcast,
Yeah,
right? We've all got limiting beliefs and doubts that we have about everything that we try, um, from again, like I said, significant emotional events. So it can work for amateur golfers. I've worked with amateur golfers. I've worked with college golfers.
Yeah.
Um, it's just whether it's a big enough problem for them to want to solve.
Hmm.
So because it's not cheap. So it's for amateurs that might not be. I mean, look, if it's an amateur golfer that has a good job and they play golf on the side and they want to get into their, like you say, their national team or even the regional team, county team, whatever it is, and they want to invest because they know it's a big problem with theirs, yeah, of course it will work for them too. And it will probably help and bleed out into their job as well.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because
As
it's
it
it's
affects
about
on
it's about the
everyday life,
person.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that, and I think it's something that is, I think it's overlooked in the sense that, if I mean, I personally have never spoken to a sports psychologist, so, I mean, you don't know anything about me, so I was a professional, well, I say professional, I was a PGA professional for 10 years and played a
Yeah.
little
So
bit
you
in,
were a professional golfer.
well, yeah, yeah, no, there you go, you're already dissecting me, Josh. And I've just turned back amateur this year, and I'm starting to now, I'm playing in club matches, county matches, and all that sort of thing, and I'm starting to see golfers of this level versus the golfers that I used to play against,
Mhm.
and having never been to a sports psychologist, I always probably thought the whole positive self-talk, visualization, all that sort of thing is it's fine, and I think it has a place, like you said, but it's more, yeah, it's more how does that change me as a person, and I think
Mm.
that's where your philosophy and what you do is probably a little bit more useful for long term change.
Yeah, 100%. For me, this can only, okay, actually, to answer your question, this can only work for ambitious people, people that genuinely want to win and do great things,
Yeah,
because most other people just want shortcuts, right?
100%.
And they'll read the books, and don't get me wrong, like you said, that those books are great. I've taken a lot away from them books, but the books are not the work. The podcasts are not the work. The podcasts are where you get your information, but information is not everything. How do you now implement that information?
Hmm.
How do you actually make that change? So, in what you're seeing, I see it across all levels. I went to support some of my golfers as part of the partnership package that I have. I go to support my golfers and watch them because they have blind spots, and I can see the difference in them when they were at practice and now when they're in an event, and it helps me unpack stuff on the calls and notice the patterns.
Hmm.
And I saw this was a clutch level. You're familiar with
Yeah,
clutch,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. Of course, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
and like I'm very passionate about this because I see how people's thinking is limiting them, but I saw some really bad attitudes.
Hmm.
Like, and I was like, I didn't know a lot of their names because I mean, I'm not talking about my clients. I'm talking about people that I
Yeah.
saw
And what would you, sorry, Josh, just if you're going, what would you define as a bad attitude in a golf course?
moaning, making excuses, bad draw, this and that. And I know there is such thing as a bad draw, but everybody's going to get a bad draw
Yeah.
sometimes, and you've got to be able to go out there and perform no matter what's going on, right? Whether you've got more wind, whether you've got the rain, whether you've got anything, you should be able to handle anything. You're a professional golfer. But if you're going out there and making excuses and moaning and finding more problems, and your process is very scattered and random, and you just the way in which they are using language, because I'm very picking up, I'm like a minesweeper when it comes to language, as you've probably seen already. And it's like, I wish I could just shake you and just show you, but I can't. They need to want it for themselves, right? And actually see that the very thing that they're doing is the very thing that's stopping them from getting to the highest level.
Hmm.
But that's where I need to kind of give them that level of awareness through content in showing them and indoctrinating them through these are your behaviors, this is your current pain, and this is the real problem. And through the real problem, this is how you get to where you want to be. But going back to the point, um, the attitude, if you are using language that is misaligned to what you're actually trying to achieve, and you try and go out and play from that state, You've already written yourself off. You've already started making excuses to why you can't do that thing. And most of the time, Scott, it's just secondary gain.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with that term, but it's a
No.
protection mechanism to keep you safe.
Okay,
So
yeah.
you've probably seen it on the golf course, right? Of where a
Probably done it on the
golfer,
golf course.
yeah, might hit a bad shot and then just mock themselves before anyone else can to save themselves the embarrassment.
That is, you've literally just described me there.
Yeah. So that's a protection mechanism because you don't want to be judged.
Yeah,
Yeah. Which, again, the fear of judgment is a challenging emotion. Fear. And I see it there. Most people are over preparing. They want to prove to someone else rather than to themselves, and they're insecure. Well, how about we just remove that? And we got you playing for where you don't need to prove yourself. You don't need to over prepare. You're confident and you back and you believe in what you have, that it is enough and that you are enough. That's the main point, right? You are enough. You feel enough and you know that you're enough regardless of what happens that week,
yeah.
as opposed to tying every single bit of the outcome to your self-worth.
Yeah, and I think so many golfers at every level associate their handicap, what score they shoot, to their self-worth.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And professional golfers do it to where if they make the cut, if they finish in the top 10, if they shoot over par. Oh,
yeah.
God forbid they shoot over par, Scott. Whew. They shouldn't be shooting over par because
No,
they're
no chance.
professionals. You know, says who, right?
Well,
Whose
that's
rules are you
it,
playing
yeah.
by?
Yeah,
So when that happens and when they have those expectations and they go out with those expectations, and then they see the very thing that they don't want to happen start happening and unfold, they're like, "See, I told you, I'm no good. Round's done. This is finished." And then they're just yeah, they're in here and they're not out here. So
hmm,
I suppose the way of looking at it is getting out of your own head and into your body,
love that.
knowing that you are enough. But
Yeah,
that secondary gain is so common, so common.
and you'll probably and you'll see that. So is that? I suppose there's no such thing as a quick fix, is there, from a secondary gain? It's not a case of right. Well, just don't mock yourself. Just don't do this. Just don't do that because, like you said, everything's deep rooted, isn't it?
Mm, yeah, and again, if you're coming from a place of don't do this, don't fuck this up, don't mess this up, don't embarrass yourself, whatever it is, you cannot like even if I asked you, Scott, like
Yeah.
when you had your best round ever,
Hmm.
I can imagine there was zero thoughts about fucking it up.
Uh, yes. Well, I don't know actually. If I'm being brutally honest, right? I feel like we're having an honest conversation. I think I have that in me. That is, I get to three, four under, or whatever it might be, and I've got 4 or 5 holes to go. I feel like I am. I do sometimes go into the fuck's sake, right? Okay, let's just par in here. Like you're hitting it
Yeah,
good, just par in from that point of view. I see what you're saying, but if I'm being honest, I probably always have a little bit of that in me. That
yeah.
is
But
even when
how good would it be to be able to go, keep going?
I mean, I'd love that. I'd turn
Yeah,
professional again.
like yeah, right. Like again, and this is the thing: you get to 2 to 3 under, and you don't want to now go backwards because there's probably some sort of self-worth attached to you not losing this 3 under, 4 under par, or whatever it is. Or if there was now a program installed in you that said 3 under, come on, we're going for four, we're going for 4 or 5. How good can this thing get? What's the
Yeah,
best
yeah,
thing that could happen to me? Rather than looking for or scanning for danger and looking for things that could go wrong, how about we were looking for the best case scenario instead? How
yeah,
about if like, and again, staying present, of course, but just every shot being a new opportunity to get better and better and better and better, as opposed to what I hear most people, they get to kind of hole 15, 14, 15, 16. They've got a good score going and now they want to protect that score.
yeah.
Why would you want to protect it? Why would you not want to just keep going?
Hmm.
Like you've obviously been playing well up to that point. And that's where you see most people go from 4, 5, 6 under to 2, 3 level par over par because they get so in their head about the score.
Yeah. And I think I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's such a societal thing, and maybe even a bit of a British thing, isn't it? The whole, um,
Pessimism.
take the piss out of yourself, bit of
Mm.
pessimism. I don't want to, I'm going to take the piss out of myself first before someone else does. That sort of thing. I feel like Americans probably don't struggle with that as much as what us Brits do.
I mean, yeah, on a
On a
non-technical level, I
surface
think
level, yeah.
I think we have a very different humor,
Hmm.
um, America to USA, but I still feel that they have those insecurities
Hmm.
where they probably don't use it in a humor way. They might use it in a different way, but the way in which we do it in this country is generally just down to insecurity. And if you keep talking to yourself about like that, putting yourself down and mocking yourself before anyone else can,
Hmm.
well, what's a belief? A belief is a repeated thought that you've had about yourself over and over and over again. So if you keep telling yourself, "Oh, you useless bastard," guess
Yeah.
what you're going to become?
Yeah. A useless
A
bastard.
useless bastard.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know. So you have to be very careful with the language that you use for yourself. Like it's okay in some instances to genuinely just laugh it off and be like, "Pff." But the most common reason that people do that is to save themselves from the embarrassment. They don't want to be embarrassed. They don't
Hmm.
want to feel like a failure. They don't want to feel like someone else is going to judge them for, oh, you're a professional golfer and you practice all this time and you dedicate all this time and effort into your craft and you're not
Yeah.
winning. Sorry, what? So they want to get there first before anyone else can hurt them and before they start to feel the things that would hurt them from someone else's words.
Yeah.
But actually, it's just as harmful. Because
100%.
more than likely, that person's not thinking that thing about you. You just think they are thinking that thing about you.
Yeah. And where do you think things like imposter syndrome kind of links into probably everything that you do?
Yeah, it's a great question. I My beliefs are starting to change around imposter syndrome because I thought I had imposter syndrome. But the only way that imposter syndrome can impact you is if you use it as an excuse to tell yourself that you're not good enough. Because imposter syndrome can be great. It can be evidence that you're stepping into a new threshold, right? Like, oh, I don't feel like I'm as good as these guys. Oh, but wait, that's an opportunity for me to grow and feed off of these guys,
Hmm.
not put myself in a bin and categorize myself and put myself down because I'm not as good as them already. But most of the time, imposter syndrome just kind of it just flares up when you put yourself into a new environment. But it's just you stepping into a new level,
Yeah.
a new threshold of yourself. Does that answer your question? I feel
I think so. Yeah. I would say. I think. I mean, you'll know more of this than I will. I always feel like imposter syndrome in a high performer is different to imposter syndrome in a non-high performer. Let's say, like I feel like high performers will use imposter syndrome as a an excuse to work harder than everyone else because they feel like they don't have the right to belong. Whereas maybe someone who's not a high performer uses imposter syndrome as an excuse. Is that valid? What I'm
yeah,
saying there?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
And that's why the high performer is the high performer
yeah, yeah.
because, I mean, and again, you have to be careful. There's definitely a fine line between using it to work harder,
Hmm.
but not using it as an excuse to work harder than everyone else.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
100%. Yeah, yeah.
So
Two different things.
yeah, so like you can want to work harder if you want to improve, but just make sure it's not coming from a sense of lack. You are already enough, but you can improve. And this is
Yeah.
when people come at me and say, "What do you mean like we shouldn't practice more and do this?" I'm not saying that. I'm saying as long as it's not coming from an insecurity or a self-doubt or a lack of what you already have, because you are already enough. You would not be at this level that you are currently at if you weren't good enough.
Hmm.
It's just there's fine tuning, and then there's, oh my God, I've now stepped in. Then people on the Clutch, DP World Tour, Hotel Planet Tour, PGA Tour, they're just fucking humans.
That's it.
They've just got really good at their craft,
Yeah.
and they've got really good at blocking out noise. They've got really good at knowing who they are and what parts of them are serving them and what parts aren't, so that they can home in on that and remove these challenging emotions and limiting beliefs that they have about themselves, so that they can turn up, be a high performer. You know, my definition of high performance is to show up consistently at the highest level of your capabilities, regardless of how you're thinking and feeling,
Hmm.
and feeling enough and enjoying it. That's it. And knowing which tool to use at which moment to help in whatever situation that you're in.
And you can't really do that until you understand yourself and where those issues and
Yeah.
emotions and
Yeah.
insecurities come from.
Because you just burn yourself into a hole trying to be someone that you're not.
Yeah, love
Like,
that.
yeah. And that is a really, really dangerous thing to do because you're not listening to your intuition and your gut and listening to your values. And the biggest thing that helped, like I said to you before, right? Energy is the main thing, it's our main currency, and
Hmm.
obviously self-belief. But if your energy is off, it impacts your emotions. If your emotions are off, it impacts your thoughts. And if your thoughts are off, it impacts your performances. Well, what helps us have high energy? Well, you've got two different categories of energy. I explain it as the driver and the car. You might have seen me talk about this on Instagram, right?
Yeah,
The driver is the emotional and the mental energy, right? The car is the raw materials. You can't have a really, really good driver, Max Verstappen, and put him in a banged up Fiesta with bad brakes and no suspension and
yeah.
expect him to get round a racetrack.
Hmm.
So you need to make sure that you're looking after yourself from a physical standpoint, but also and the swing and the practice and the talent and the skill. But you can't have this side of things, the swing, the practice, the talent, the skill, the recovery, the nutrition, the training, the sleep, and then put a bad driver, me, in the car, Formula One car, and
Yeah,
expect to win. You need to make sure that you've got both. And that also comes from, when I'm talking about emotional and mental energy, your values and your beliefs. Most people don't know what their values are, and they wonder why other people impact them, other people's behaviors, actions, behaviors. Like when I said I went and I saw bad attitude,
hmm,
one of my values is excellence. So when I see that attitude, I'm instantly drawn away from that person. And it's the same for all of us. Like you probably have your own values and
hmm.
beliefs about the world and how it should operate. I'm not here to try and change that. I'm
No,
not here to try and say, Scott, you're wrong. I'm going to meet you in your world and help you see it a little bit differently and still keep it the same, but perform better inside it. Yeah, I'm not here to
yeah,
say, no, it's my way or the highway, Scott. It's all right. Let me learn more about you, your values, your beliefs, your identity. Let's build it and let's perform from that so that nothing else outside of that impacts you. Does that make sense?
100%, yeah, mate. 100%.
Yeah.
So if any of our viewers or listeners wanted to work with you, Josh, where would they find you and how would they get in contact with you?
Instagram.
Instagram.
Instagram, at Josh Maddison underscore underscore. My inbox is always open.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's how we kind of
like
got into contact, wasn't it? Really, kind of chatting back and forth on
absolutely,
Instagram. Yeah.
just a follow and a chat. I'm not there to push anyone into it. Like people come to their own conclusion that there's like a call from how I help them in the DMs.
Hmm.
That's all I want to do. So um, they can message me and they can say, look, I listened to the podcast. I've been dealing with this. What do you think I should do? And it's as I've said, it's hard for me to know without really asking the right questions because
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
believe the question is the answer. So I'll ask as many questions as I can before I get stuck, and I'll be to like, look, let's just jump on a call. And if people want a call, by the way, it doesn't mean necessarily that you've had the call that it means that you need to work with me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Discovery calls are free. We'll see, like I said to you, where you're going, who you need to become, what parts you need to let go of, and how that works. And if at the end you want to know how coaching works, we'll talk about it. If not, you'll kind of understand what's going on in your head a little bit better,
Yeah.
and you can go away and maybe be a little bit more self-aware. And that helps a lot of people. There's no
Excellent.
pressure.
That's maybe it's something I probably need to look into,
Well,
to
look,
be
yeah, maybe,
honest.
maybe we'll jump on a call, right? Like again, I said that I'm not going to be like, right, you're on this call, so it's this much and this much, and we're
Yeah.
doing
Yeah. Of
this.
course.
It's
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
talk to me. What's going on? And then
Yeah.
if at the end of it you're like, actually, this makes total sense, and I want to lean into it, we could talk about it. If not, at least you're a little bit more self-aware about your beliefs and your behaviors and your actions and your feelings and your thoughts.
Yeah. I would say I mean, I've learned a lot tonight chatting to you, Josh. I think, you know, a mental performance coach to some people is probably just a sports psychologist that tells them how to visualize and all that sort of stuff. But I think that value of finding out more about yourself, finding out where the issues come from, fixing those issues, and then building towards how to perform in any arena. I just think it's an absolute no-brainer. Why would you not dive into that? That's just my opinion on it.
Agreed. I mean, yeah, and this is the thing. I didn't do it in golf, but it changed my life,
Mm,
and that's why, for me, I believe for the arena that I work in professional golf, they're so in the golf that it helps to have someone who's not in golf to help them. So
yeah,
even from that perspective, it helps. You don't need to be a professional golfer. You don't need to be a competitive golfer. If you just want to improve your life, this thing will help.
there you go.
Mental performance, right? Because everybody's physical performance and what they do, I mean, it all comes hand in hand, but they will tend to go for the low-hanging fruit, which is the physical stuff, training, swing, golf coach, gym,
Yeah.
but they forget about the thing that actually allows you to access that under pressure.
Wonderful. I think I don't want to take up any more of your time, Josh. That was very
I'm
insightful.
enjoying this.
I
I'm
know.
enjoying this. So,
Thank you so much
as
for
you can
your
probably
time,
tell.
mate. And I think what we'll do, mate, I think we should definitely have a call. And I'm not going to document my demons to all my listeners, but I think we should definitely keep in contact. Maybe jump on another podcast and as things go, because I think it's such an important part of life and being a human, and I just don't see why we wouldn't talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to that. And like I said, even if yeah, we could do it privately. We could do it on here. The first kind of bit that I'd go through is not that deep anyway. It's not. It's more of a an audit and understanding how you're currently thinking. So for
Yeah,
people who might be a little bit like, oh, I don't want to, just in case, you could just show that actually it's just a conversation. I'm asking questions to help get to the bottom of it. It's to see what the thing that's protecting you and the consequences of that and
yeah.
what you'd love instead.
There we
So
go. Maybe
if
that's
you
an
want to do
idea.
it, we can do it on another call. It would take about 45 minutes and people can actually see it, right? And you can yeah, be patient zero.
There we go. Love that. Love that. But for tonight, mate, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, and
You're welcome. It's been an honor.
I'll plug your Instagram and all our posts and everything like that, and I think people should check you out.
Yeah, love that. Sounds good.
Cheers, mate. Bye.
All right, thanks for having me. See you later.